Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, is that the White House knew that Hope Hicks had tested positive ahead of leaving for the New Jersey fundraiser. And, Larry, I think a lot of people are asking questions as to why the president still went to Bedminster, New Jersey, when the White House was aware that Hope Hicks had tested positive. Can you give us any clarity on that? Shine a light on why, Larry?
I'm not sure, John, that I can. I mean, I wasn't on the one. I didn't go on that particular trip. I think as soon as they realized what happened, they took certainly distancing measures. But look, I wasn't there. I'm not the doctor. I'm here to talk about the Better Than Expected Jobs Report and why the economy's doing well. I can't help you on the medical stuff. If I could, I would, but I wasn't a participant because I wasn't there.
Larry, don't expect you to talk about the medical stuff with us today, but you have in the past voluntarily suggested to Americans how they should act and engage with each other. And I just wonder, for everyday Americans right now, what kind of message this sends? And you are representing the administration at the moment, Larry. What do you think this sends as a message to the public in America right now?
Look, we continue to emphasize the protocols. That is to say, masking and distancing and testing where applicable and good daily hygiene, washing your hands and your face and so forth. We have said this throughout the pandemic, and we'll say again. And I think we are observing the protocols as best we can, especially the distancing. But also, look, when I go out of the complex, I'm wearing a mask. I couldn't get into a store if I didn't have a mask on. And we're all very conscious of this. This is big. This is terribly important stuff. I understand that. And lives are at stake, and it's difficult. But again, our protocols have not changed. Masking, distancing, testing, and good hygiene. That's the best you can do. We have improved on the therapies. The doctors know a lot more than they did. Dr. Sean Conley is the best in the business. The White House Medical Unit is the best in the business. The president's going to get absolutely first-rate plus treatment. And as I said, we all pray for him and the First Lady.
Why weren't those protocols followed yesterday?
I don't know that they weren't.
Well, it's quite clear from the timeline that we've already discussed, and the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, basically confirmed they were. If you'd learned before the trip that an aide to the president, Hope Hicks, had tested positive before leaving and you still left and then went to a fundraiser, they're the protocols. They haven't been followed, Larry.
Jonathan, I just can't speak to it. As I said, I wasn't there. I have spoken to the chief this morning on some other matters. We didn't go through that timeline. I'm sorry. I just can't speak to it.
Now, I understand it puts you in an awkward situation, but I think at the moment for the American people, they've had to follow the guidelines, and it's pretty clear in the last 24 hours from what we've heard, Larry, that it doesn't sound like the president did. So for Americans at work today, engaging with the workforce that may have been exposed to coronavirus and might have to return from work without pay and go and self-isolate, how do you convince them that that's the right thing they should do? And that's an economic question.
Yes, it is. Now, look, again, we continue to emphasize the protocols. As you and I talked about this. You see virus hotspots, for example. We have mitigation to control it. Unfortunately, the trends look pretty good right now. Hospitalization, fatalities are way down. Cases popped up a little bit earlier in September. They're coming back down. But all through this, to the best of my ability and the best of everybody's ability, we have emphasized these protocols. We must do this. Now, it can be done. It does seem to work. And we're open business. I guess we've got about 80% of our business open. And, we are assisting medically and financially to help people deal with COVID issues. Renovations if necessary. We're testing, I think we're at 1 million tests per day now with the capacity to do even better. But again, proper masking, proper distancing, proper testing, and proper hygiene, that has been a staple of our response from day one.
But, Larry, I'll ask the question again, if you don't mind. If the president hasn't followed your advice, why should an American who doesn't get paid to go home and self-isolate if they've been exposed to coronavirus? Why should they do that if the president didn't?
My impression here is that when the president tested positively, that's exactly what he did. He went home.
He's, in effect, quarantined himself. We're working with the doctors. That's what he did. I wasn't there at the events yesterday, so I can't speak to that.
My impression
but the president
of the guidelines, though, Larry,
he's following these advice.
The guidelines.
He's following the guidelines. The president has been a stickler.
Well, let's talk about them.
On distancing.
Let's talk about them from an economic perspective, if we can, Larry. I'm at work. I know that if I've been in contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19, I should go home immediately, get tested, wait 14 days. I'm trying to understand why the president didn't do those things. If they're the minimum requirements in the workforce in America right now, why wouldn't the president of the United States, holding the highest office in America, follow the same guidelines?
Jonathan, the best I can do is to say that as soon as he was tested as a precautionary measure when the news came out about Ms. Hicks, and he did test positive, and he immediately did and followed the very protocols that you are describing. He did it. That's the best I can tell you. We can go through this a few more times, but that is my view. That is the information I have. He is following the protocols, and he acted very quickly. He's in the residence, as he must be. We will see how long it's necessary for him to quarantine. That's up to the doctors and the president and the First Lady and so forth. I can't get involved in that. And again, I wasn't on the helicopter. I wasn't on the trip yesterday. But as soon as he found out, he was tested. And as soon as he tested positive, he went in quarantine.
Larry, I'll only ask one more time. And I know it's unfortunate, and I'm sorry to keep doing this. I really am. We've built up a relationship over the years, and I'm sorry to make this awkward. But that's not what happened. According to the timeline, and according to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, you learn about the positive for Hope Hicks, still went on the trip, and then when you returned, the president was tested and tested positive, and only then did he announce that he would be quarantining. And also, it wasn't disclosed to the general public that Hope Hicks had tested positive until we broke the story here at Bloomberg, and the president went on the television show with Sean Hannity on Fox News. That's the timeline. And Larry, I know it's sensitive, and I know this puts you in a really tough position. But for all of us, for everyone operating in this economy right now, for people trying to work and trying to get paid, if they're exposed to coronavirus, they have to go home. They don't wait around and carry on with their normal life for several hours' time and then go and do a fundraiser and then get a test. And, Larry, that's the distinction here. That's the difference. And I think it is an economic question. It's not just a political one, which is why I need you to help me answer it. For everyday Americans who can't afford to go home after being exposed to the virus, what kind of a message does this send to them? Larry, can I say thank you, and I apologise for my persistence, but I think these are really important issues, and the timeline will probably reveal itself with a little bit more clarity in the coming days.
As a former broadcast anchor, I understand the business, and professional to professional, I salute you.
Larry Kudlow, thank you very much. Send our best to the White House, won't you, to the President and the First Lady. We all hope they have a speedy recovery.